And we've been checking in from time to time with the 2020 Book Club. That is the Iowa group reading memoirs of various 2020 candidates for president. The group has become so popular, the candidates themselves are joining the meetings. Andrea Phillips leads the group. She is also vice chair of the Iowa Democratic Party. I spoke with her recently. So your most recent books were from Kirsten Gillibrand, John Delaney, and Julian Castro. What did you take away from each book?
You know, I think a book is the ultimate way to get to know a candidate. And so each book was different, like each candidate is different. Castro's book was very personal. It told primarily the story of him growing up and his version of the American dream. We did have Buttigieg next, and his book was also a little bit more autobiographical than policy focused, whereas the next one was John Delaney, and his book was almost all policy focused. And Kirsten Gillibrand had both a book for adults that was sort of a mix of the two and a book for children.
All right, so we can't help but have noticed your book club policy posted on your Facebook page, which reads, quote, "Any candidate who does not make a debate will be dropped." Just curious whether this policy also reflects the DNC's stricter criteria for the fall debates.
Yes, it does. The reason for that policy is simple. We have more candidates to get through. We have almost more candidates to get through than we have time. In fact, I just recently recalculated our schedule with the most recent entrants into the race. And to get done before the caucuses, we are doing 18 days per books instead of 3 weeks.
A lot of speed reading going on there.
Yeah.
Now, Andrea, you are also vice chair of the Iowa Democratic Party. Joe Biden was in your state this week for just the second time, though, since announcing his candidacy. Do you think he has spent enough time in your state?
I think it's early days. I think we still have almost a year until the caucuses, so I think there's plenty of time.
So the highly regarded Des Moines Register, or CNN Mediacom poll, found this week that nearly 80% of likely caucus goers want to see at least one candidate drop out. It is a very wide field right now. What are your feelings about that? Do you think the field is too big, and not just because you've got to read all those books?
I don't know if I would say too big. It makes it difficult for people to get to know the candidates. And I think that's why the book club is so helpful, because after you've read somebody's book, particularly if you listen to it on audiobook, many of them read their own audiobooks, you get to feel like you know them on a more personal level.
And so, Andrea, the debates, of course, are right around the corner. What will you personally be looking for? What do you want to hear from these candidates?
Well, I have my own pet issues that are always top of my mind, so I like to hear candidates address those.
What are they?
Reproductive health or women's rights is one of my top of mind issues. So I was appreciative of hearing all the candidates come out strongly in favor of reproductive rights for women.
And after that one, what else will you be listening for?
I really like to see if the candidate seems like they can connect with the crowd. I think it's important for a candidate to be able to reach people, and that'll be one thing that I'm watching for during the debates, to see if the candidate is casual enough to make a connection with the audience while still staying focused on the issues.
And do you feel in general that the books you've been reading by these various candidates have really changed your perspective on some of them?
I think more than that, it's given me a more intimate or personal knowledge with them. It makes me feel like I know them. And so then it's easier when I see them. For example, this past weekend, we had our Iowa Democratic Party Hall of Fame celebration, and we had 19 of the candidates speaking. And with that many candidates speaking, it's hard to differentiate one from the other. But if you've read their book, you feel more of a personal connection to them. That's what I've found.
And there hasn't been one or two books where you said, that's it, this is the candidate I connect with the most?
You know, as with my role as party vice chair, I get to stay neutral throughout the whole caucus process, and I will tell you, I appreciate that very much.
All right. All right. Andrea Phillips, we thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you.